Welcome everybody to No Quiet Parts. I'm Diggy, and today we've got E.J. Snyder, the one, the only, the legend. E.J. Me and E.J. actually met. I don't even know if you'd call it met. We actually talked for the first time whenever they was scouting me to go on Naked and Afraid, and I had
Yeah,
maybe seen 3, 4 episodes. And you had
yeah.
called me and you were kind of filling me in on everything. And I was like, dude, what is this? I thought it was a scam. I thought I was going to end up with a kidney missing or something. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, those were the days when I was working with casting. I worked with casting from season 3 all the way to season 16. They had a changing of the guard where Discovery bought out Warner Brothers, but Warner Brothers came in and started making some adjustments to what they felt should be going on. I didn't, I was a square peg in a round hole and didn't fit. So it was like, well, we're going to go this way now. And then Lionsgate come on, took over Renegade, and so it's, in my opinion, it's kind of a mess out there now. They've got a lot of different corporate
It, it,
bosses
re-
and things like that. Yeah,
It really is, and for all the people that have done the show, you put your body through some harsh things, and you more than anybody probably would know because you've done it so many times yourself, the toll it takes on you time and time again. I mean, I only did mine for 3 weeks, but I finished because I couldn't come back and, deal with these coon asses. Diggy, you want to come help me with this? Nah, you might quit that again, So, I mean, I didn't
yeah,
really have a choice but to finish because I'd have got ate up. But it was rough on my body. I think I lost 40, 50 pounds on mine. Dude, it
yeah,
obliterates your whole system in 3 weeks.
yeah.
And I know you've done the
It's like
40
going
and the
to
60,
yeah,
huh?
it's like going to Ranger School like several times over. You go to Ranger
Back
School
again, I'm sorry.
and you don't need a lot. So it's like going to Ranger School several times over.
Fuck that.
You lose a bunch of weight. I did 206 days in total, 6 challenges. I've done 321 days, one of them by myself. I did the first 40 day, I did a 60 day, then I went back to the Amazon to help out, and I did another 43 days. Most weight I've lost was 90 pounds in the Louisiana swamp.
Bruh,
The most weight
that's the
I've
one I wish
lost
I'd
in
have
a
went on.
yeah, that one was I spent a lot of time in the swamp. So for me, that was like home.
Didn't you bust open
And
your nutsack on that one?
yeah, sure did. Got me about 8 or 10 stitches. I can't remember right much now, but stitch them up. No pain meds. Let's go. I got 33 more days to do out here. Let's go. And the sun's going down. I need to go get firewood. Come on, I'm by myself. I
Bruh.
did the Bulgaria one. I lost 52 pounds in 21 days.
Damn. Now, for those people that don't know, a lot of people have seen you obviously on Naked and Afraid. That's probably your most notable thing. A lot of people might not know that you were actually on Lost, which was a big show of mine, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
And
I was stationed in Hawaii at the time, and I was at the end of my career, and I was wanting to get into kind of doing military tech advising on TV and film. And that was my first opportunity to try my luck at it. And I started out as some background stunt work as a U.S. Marshal. And then they moved me over into the freighter boat mercenary group. And then I wound up becoming a character known as Redfern, which was really the B team leader for the mercenaries. And I wound up body doubling for Kevin Durant, the actor, and did some fill-ins for him and stuff. So that was pretty interesting. And then I had did a bunch of other little independent films and some smaller mainstream films, and I got a lot of featured extra kind of stuff because I was in those days I was still pretty much bodybuilding and fighting, and I was I'm 6'4", and I'm in this
yeah, because
pretty good shape at the time. And
whenever you were on the show and you stormed the beach, if I remember right, is that correct? Did y'all come on some boats or something like that?
yeah, there was a freighter boat. That's what we arrived on. Yep.
Yeah, because when I remember, and I was a big fan of the show back in the day, but whenever
Yeah.
y'all came on the beach, you were like, without saying this in a shitty way, you were young still.
I was a young man. Yeah, yeah. I was like in my late, I think I was in my early 40s actually, and I was still had a flat top, and yeah, they had all camouflage on us and stuff, and they would have us do some stuff, and I'm like, oh, my military buddies, they're going to eat us up doing this. Hey, put some more camouflage on my face so they don't know it's me. And so I started out doing that, and then I was a big fan of the TV show Survivor, so I had applied a bunch of times for Survivor, and I wound up being a finalist a couple of times, but the last time I was a finalist was
Yeah, go with that
2010 in
damn
season
seat.
21.
Yeah,
You
so
need to
so
get
you
you
being
a
a you
folding
being a
chair.
right, yeah, dude. I might just had to get some bricks and sit on that shit. But you being a fan of the Survivor, I got interviewed a while back. I can't remember his name now, but he has a bunch of tattoos on the side of his head, and he asked me what the main difference was between Survivor and Naked and Afraid, and I said, you know, Survivor to me was a beauty pageant. You know, you didn't just go off of what you were good at. It was a lot of mind games, a lot of, you know, you had to be sneaky,
Yeah,
which I think Naked and Afraid is kind of turned into, which sucks because at its
yeah,
core, what it's really missing is all the shit that they don't air, all the cool stuff that people could learn how to do. Because just say if
yeah,
there really was something that fell out, what if the stuff on the show was the thing that saved your life? You know, knowing how
yeah.
to judge water if it's
And
good or not, you know?
yeah, and these survival TV shows, God bless the guys in the early days that brought them into the mainstream. You know, Bear Grylls, Les Stroud, Cody Lundin, Dave Canterbury. Those were the original shows. You know, Man vs. Wild, Dual Survival,
Right.
Survivor Man, and there's multiple accounts where people who don't go outside watch these shows and they actually get their lives saved by something they might have learned. And I tell my students all the time, if I teach you one thing that saves your life, it's money well spent. And so,
Absolutely.
and I think now, you know, when we came around, it's what people thought when they started doing the last one standing is what Survivor they felt should have been, where you're doing survival skills, and that's what's, you know, that's where the rubber meets the road. But, you know, Survivor had its hits thing, and I got replaced on it by Jimmy Johnson, the football coach for my season. I had made the final cast, and they replaced me for him. But that's when my name started flying around casting all over the place, and I started doing some smaller reality shows and different things. And then that's when Discovery found me, tried me out for Dual Survival. They were replacing Dave Canterbury at the time, so they brought in 5 ex-military guys to try out for this
Right.
thing. And it came down to me and Joe Ted-I. Discovery fell in love with his background when he was with the CIA or whatever, and picked him over me. And then I wound up saying, hey, we're going to give you a call. You got some really good skills, and we got something extreme coming up. We think you'd be perfect for it. And next thing I know, I'm taking my clothes off in Africa, doing the very first
Dude, I know how that
episode,
is.
filmed the pilot episode 12 years
Yeah, I
ago,
mean,
a little over that.
and if I remember right, y'all were the first one to do it because it had been tried, but no one could complete the time that it took to be out there because it wouldn't be a show. Because obviously, if
No,
you were in the Amazon, if I remember right,
no. Our first one was in Tanzania, and
Tanzania, that's what it was.
yep. A Terra in Tanzania with Kelly Neitlinger. 7 months later, they called me up. They called up Laura. And me and Laura were the first 2 to do it twice. And they had 3 people go to the Amazon. They all quit. So they brought us in there,
Right.
gave us the same type items they had. And we showed how to get it done with 21 days, no bug net, man. That was brutal. But Laura, the best, one of the best survivalists on the planet, bar none. Don't matter man or woman. She is the real deal. Lives this thing, been living it since she was young. And I've said it forever. I'll say it all the time. She's in the top 10 survivalists on this planet.
Easy.
She's very
Oh,
good at what
yeah,
she
without
does.
a doubt.
She's tough. Yeah, good team player, kind, tough as nails, man. That girl would rather die than give up.
Well, a
Man.
lot of
And I
people.
seen it firsthand.
Well, I mean,
Right.
a lot of people think that, you know, these people that are tough as nails, that's it to them, you know. But whenever I've found, you know, I've got buddies that are SEALs, Mortarmen, Rangers, whatnot. Those guys that are actually really tough are the most giving, most kind, most generous types of people. So whenever you have those people that have that grit, it's like they don't have to show that I'm this or I'm that or I'm better, because they're just confident in who they are and they're willing to give you more of their self, you know.
Absolutely.
But I mean, beyond the shows and TVs and stuff, you going through Ranger School obviously was, you know, one of the probably the biggest accomplishments a person could really have. You know, I mean, that's bar none. That puts you in such a select group of men.
Yeah.
It's got to be amazing though to look back and say, I did that. At your age, you look back
Yeah.
and see your younger self. And like my buddy that did the SEALs, I asked him, I was like, did you ever think about ringing that bell? He was, not a chance, not once. I never thought about it. I was like, and I'm thinking you had to have thought about it, but he told me if you thought about it, you had already rung it. You've got to have the
Right.
mindset that there is nothing else but the finish line. And
Get comfortable being
but
uncomfortable.
exactly. Now, you've been, how many years did you serve, EJ?
I served 25 years in the Army, retired at the rank of Sergeant Major E9. I served in 2 wars. I served in the 91 Gulf War, as well as I was the youngest platoon sergeant in the 82nd Airborne Division at 24 years old. So I was a paratrooper in those days. I had gone to Ranger School already in 1988, Pathfinder. I was a jump master. And then I got back. I was a drill sergeant. I was a Ranger instructor. I was the primary survival tracking instructor in the Florida Ranger Camp for years.
So whenever you did the Ranger School, did you ever go to Eglin?
Yeah, we go to Eglin. That's where I was an instructor at as well. We went there for
I was stationed there for 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to meet some of the guys because they had some of the alligators out there. I was there from 2001. Wait, shit. 2000, late 2002 or 2003 to 05.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was there as a Ranger instructor 94 to 96 or 97. Yeah, 97. And then
I was
I was
on test side over there, so we got to see all the crazy stuff, the blue badge stuff. Speaking of which, not to switch gears or anything, but even in your military, and a lot of military guys, especially pilots, that we dealt with, as crew chiefs, because that's what I did. Everybody always asks, what have you seen in your travels? Because it always comes up, have you seen UFOs or whatever? Because a lot of bases get these UFOs, and there's been all this talk on the TV and the Tic Tacs and all that stuff, which is really dope. And, I've never seen a UFO, but I've seen some shit that looks really iffy. And I said, I can't say, especially with UCMJ stuff, but when you're on a test side base, you see some weird shit, and they had skunk works and all those guys everywhere.
Well, I would say that my opinion on it is the military and the government are always testing stuff. So there's always weird things flying around that it isn't an identified flying object because we don't know what the hell it is. Right. We don't know what they're testing. How many times did a stealth bomber fly through the air and we thought, that's a UFO. We'd never seen it before. I remember those things flying over in the first Gulf War, looking up in the sky, and you could barely hear them. They were like, and I see it up there, and I look up, and there's this triangle, like a void, and all the stars are disappearing. I'm like, what in the hell? But I also was out at Fort Bliss, Texas. I was at the academy, and that's near Nellis Air Base.
Yeah.
And like I said, I seen some stuff. Could I say for sure it was there was a little green guy flying it? I couldn't tell you. But I have seen some odd lights in the sky over my time being out in the wilderness. You get to see a lot of strange things. That's the ones that I think are a trip. Right. And then we're down there at Eglin, and they all said like one of the biggest places for UFOs was right there in Gulf Breeze off the panhandle of Florida. That there's like a space station underwater, they would say, and stuff. And it's like, what? So I'm a razor walker.
I got to kind of watch what I say right here. But so with that, I was on the test side. So we had, obviously shit that we were testing, and not everything is sitting on the runway or on the tarmac or anything. They've got shit in buildings that you got to have a badge to get in,
Yeah.
You never really know. And is it stuff that we've got from a UFO that we're backwards doing or whatever? Who knows? But I will say this:
reverse engineering.
For the American people that are out there that aren't sure if we could do this, if we could do that, the shit that you don't know that we have outnumbers the stuff that you do know that we have. So as an ex-military person, I'm confident.
Yeah. Out there, I remember there was a slit in the side of the mountain out there in El Paso, and I know some kind of Star Wars stuff was probably sitting in there. But you'll get out in the wilderness where it's really remote, and you could see some stuff. And you look up at the sky, and you're like, what is that? Oh, it's a satellite. You don't know. Sometimes you see odd things. And I'm a razor walker when it comes to conspiracy theories. I'm not going to say yes or no until I know for sure, but I'm never going to doubt it because it could be there for us to be so silly to think. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
Bigfoot enthusiast. I'm a
Are you really?
yeah, I am. He
Like with
intrigues
all
me.
of them?
Not like that. You know, I find
No,
the
but
stories fascinating.
I guess my question is you got Bigfoot and you've got the Yeti and you've got the other ones that are similar,
Yeah,
but
skunk
they
apes,
all
whatever.
blend. Yeah, I mean you got Skinwalker Ranch and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah, and there's some
Now,
weird stuff out there, right? But for me, I am fascinated by this creature, and the stories you hear and everything. You can't have that much smoke and everything be a hoax. Is what I say.
I think there's the possibility to it because I think we forget that we're not really that smart. Only within the last 100 years we think we know everything in the whole universe.
Yeah.
We've got it all figured out. I think that's a fallacy. We don't know what we don't know.
And everybody thinks there's not enough space for this thing to hide. No, if you ever got out in some real wilderness, there's some thick stuff, and it gets deep, and it gets. The first time I went out to Oregon was last year at the PNW Survival Games, where I'll be there again this year, August, around the middle of August, and they've got Boring, Oregon, which is they have the Bigfoot National Museum there and stuff. But seeing that forest for the first time and how thick those timbers were and how dark and deep those forests were, man, it's not hard to think that something, even if it was a four-legged creature, was living in there that nobody would know about.
Well, you gotta think a lot of people have never gone outside into forestry. And then on top of that, people have never been into brush, forest, or whatever that you've had to literally cut your way through. I mean, hell, they're just starting to get it with LiDAR, the stuff that's in the Amazon because it's gotten covered up with the jungle. You can't walk through it.
Yeah,
It's basically like walking through an object because it's all solid almost. So, I mean, this
yeah,
vegetation could be unreal. And to think that there's something that couldn't hide. I mean, hell, I've
yeah.
tried
I
to
mean,
track deer that I couldn't find, and that was on flatland.
yeah, you go. I mean, I've been in some bamboo forests where it's literally you're not getting through it. You're
God,
just not getting through it.
that would have to be like
And
a maze.
oh yeah. There's a big forest in Hawaii where the shoots of bamboo, which bamboo is a grass, people don't realize
Right.
it's actually a grass, but super hard. Great survival asset. It's shelter, fire, water, and food. But the ones I was seeing, they were as big as a damn Home Depot bucket, man. That's how massive
What?
some of these.
Like,
Yeah,
holy
big, like
shit.
foot and a half round and massively and
Oh my
tall, like
God.
100 feet. And this forest, they had it like there was cuts what they cut with a chainsaw, and it was kind of like a maze because it was so thick and together, and they weren't because it was kind of sacred to these Hawaiians or whoever was that forest
Right.
belonged to. There's like a monastery up there, so but they wouldn't cut it, and they did cut it some, but they didn't treat the forest and keep it thinned out. But there were some paths that you had to walk through to admire this thing. And I seen this. There was literally this lady in there with her head shaved, and she was trying to be a monk or whatever, living out there in the wild up in this forest, and just living that simple life up there in a little bamboo hut. And but yeah, and that's like, look at what we got here. But that is the most ancient bamboo forest I've ever saw. That was on the island of Oahu. But we see them here. We got them in North Carolina right here, and
Well, you gotta
they're pretty
think.
fascinating.
Well, I say whenever you like the stuff you saw with the bamboo and everything else, whenever you're in the presence of something like that, it really makes you think, I am really nothing but a speck of dust in the universe. I am the
Yeah,
smallest
you said
thing
that,
in
brother.
the world that we live in is such an amazing place. And my experience isn't obviously as broad as yours is with the show, but one thing I will say what it did open me up to was if I had anything to say to anybody that watches the show or whatnot, go out and experience something, man. Get out of your comfort zone, do something different, learn something, be a part of nature, because one of the most amazing things that happened to me whenever we was out there, and sadly, obviously, it didn't make the show. Danelle, which was Rod's partner, had come back and said, "Hey, I need some help." You know, nobody obviously wants to help. Me being me, hey, I'll go help you. So we start walking. I was like, "What you need help with?" She goes, "Oh, nothing. I just figured if I asked for help, nobody'd come. And I knew you would." So we head up, and she takes me up the top, and we get to this on the top. We were in Africa, and she goes, "All right, close your eyes and turn around." So I did what she said. She goes, "All right," and she kind of grabbed my shoulders. Said, "All right, sit down right here." And I, had my eyes closed and everything. She goes, "Now open them." When I opened my eyes, it literally was the only time I could ever remember in my life that it took my breath away. It opens up into a valley. There's mountains on the left and the right. There's this huge river that snakes all the way. You've got giraffe, rhino, gazelle, zebra, giraffe, lions. Everything was by this river, coexisting because they all needed water.
Right.
And it kind of makes you sad that the animals could fucking figure that out, but people can't. They can't even figure out how to not argue on Facebook,
Yeah, you're right.
My thing with all of it, I just think that, and this is just me, I don't care what your political leanings are. Have the conversation, talk like a normal person. It's okay to disagree. That's it. It's okay to disagree. That's how we got a country. But when you argue with each other and get pissed off and stop talking to people, blah, 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 if you don't want to hear them, turn their shit off. That doesn't mean you're not their friend. You just don't want to hear that viewpoint. And that's fine. It doesn't mean you don't like them. It doesn't mean you hate somebody. But when you turn it into an attack, a personal attack, that just makes you into a shitty person. So at the end of the day, I just judge people on either you're shitty or not.
Yeah. It just says more about people, about themselves, than it does who they're talking about, and sadly, you're right, that does go on. And I tell people all the time, you're always welcome in my survival camp, no matter what color Kool-Aid you drink, whether it's blue, red, or purple, it don't matter.
Exactly.
There are some green Kool-Aid drinkers out there, and that's, if we can have it a civil discourse without getting vehemently ugly or vile, and talk and exchange ideas with an open mind and respect. Like you said, you don't have to agree, but, hear each other out. And in a proper community, you bring in many ideas. And
absolutely,
the more
you can't,
the leaders of that,
you can't. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So you bring those in a community, and you talk about them, whether you're going to vote on them group. But the big thing is, in any society, there has to be somebody in charge. Because somebody has to make that final, tough decision. And but I'm a type of leader. I like to hear all viewpoints and gather those things and make a good decision based on what I'm hearing from everybody, and make a collective decision.
Right.
You're never going to please everybody, but if I heard you out, at least you said, hey, he at least let me sit down and say what I thought. And the other thing, like you were saying, back it up a little bit more, I tell people all the time, put the phone down, turn off the electronics, take your family out, go out for a weekend and put all the phones in the glove box and unplug for 72 hours and see what it does for you. It will reset your body clock. Take your shoes off, let your bare feet touch the earth and ground into that, and let your spirit reset.
Preach, brother.
And I'm telling you, man, that'll do wonders.
People have forgotten all that, though.
Yeah. Well, I just saw a graph the other day, and they showed from like the turn of the century of 1900 till now, and how much time people spent at top 10 things. The thing on the bottom was this, electronics, internet, and then time with family was up top or whatever. And
it's
it was
crazy.
Like, the chart was like, so much, like 80%, 90% of the time. And that shit flipped and reversed to where you're spending your life on these things here. And you're spending
whenever all that came around,
yeah,
whenever all that come around, we've got more connection with less connection, which is so weird, but
we're a communal species. We're supposed to be talking to each other, touching each other, and having a conversation. Used to be, you go face to face and make a conversation with someone when you want to get your point across. And when computers came around, a phone call became more personal. Now, now you just got to hope for a text message, maybe from somebody. It's just it's crazy about this stuff. And
Well, people
I had another
forget how to
point I was
be
going to bring, but
people too,
yeah,
you know? People
exactly.
literally
Yeah,
forget how to be people. You get people that are just
yeah,
online or whatever, and and I don't mean this like, there's people that are bad people or whatever, but a lot of people have forgotten that you can get punched in the mouth, and I'm probably overdue for an ass whipping myself, but you have the online to where there's no repercussions. You could hide behind a fake profile and say all these crazy things, not to mention 20% of Twitter, Facebook, or whatever are bots anyway. You're arguing with a
yeah,
fake person, which is a trip.
yeah,
That's not a me just saying that. That is a real
yeah.
thing. AI and bots literally argue and say the opposite viewpoints just to get the people to
Yeah.
clash. You're arguing over
I
dumb
tell people
shit.
all
Go
the
out
time,
and touch some
yeah,
grass.
you have freedom of speech, but you don't have the freedom to bully and say, nasty things. I tell people all the time,
Yeah.
fans comment. I'm like, look, I'm a public figure, not a public punching bag. You ain't got a right to come here and talk to yourself. Hey, you can't say that to me. You're a public figure. No, you ain't got the right to go in the open public square crying. And you think you're that, and I'm going to cut you down with my words because I
Yeah.
get very wordsmithy. And you're going to take it. And I'm going to tell you this. If you have a faceless avatar with a fictitious name or you got a cat or something on there, you're a keyboard coward. And for you to spit off at the mouth because you got this opinion, if you wouldn't say that to my face, then you shouldn't be saying it at all. And don't say, yeah, I would say it to your face, when you know damn well you're not going to come and say that to my face when you meet me in person, because my shadow alone is going to freeze you out and you're going to piss on yourself anyway, because I'm not a very small person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't make that as a threat to people. I just say, look, you tell me where and when, I'll fly out there and save you the gas money, and we can sit
For
down and have
real.
a coffee, and then I want you to say that to my face again, and you explain yourself. I've not had
Yeah. I
anyone
mean,
take
it
me
ain't,
up on it.
it's not a fact of, it's not a fact of someone saying something, it's how they say it.
Right.
Whenever you turn
Yeah.
it into this animosity and you're a dumbass or whatever, that's uncalled for. Now you flip the switch and you get people
Right.
like me, dude,
Yeah.
99% of me is the most happy go lucky person, but that
Yeah.
1% is a mother. And if you get that 1%, my bad for you, bruh. And people have no idea who they're talking to. You don't know how this person was trained. Even
Yeah.
at you're what, 79, 78? I can't remember.
I'm
But even at your
almost 88
accelerated
now.
age,
Almost.
but what people don't fail to realize is when you're trained to do things like my buddy that's a SEAL, I would never want to start nothing with him because he could kill me with a spoon or whatever's laying on the table. You
Yeah.
don't know
I'm
who
not going
you're
to play
talking
around with
to.
I've been I've been a trained fighter my whole life. I've been a warrior. Don't, be careful of the gray bearded man, because especially one that made a living in a profession where men die young. And so I tell you
Yeah,
what, I can be very
you were literally trained to
one
kill.
time. I will throw everything at you one time. I still at least got one time in me, and it's in my back pocket waiting for you. And I've saved it for a rainy day. So when you want to step up, you better bring two friends. Bring two friends because
Hey, look, like I tell him, I got 45 seconds of heat. If you get past that 45 seconds, you got a shot. But if
yeah,
you get caught in that
yeah,
45
yeah,
seconds, you.
yeah. And and it, still to this day, I mean, I'll walk into somewhere just minding my own business, and they want to
Well,
try you. And
yeah,
it's like, listen, every now and again, the lion will sit there and chill out, and he'll get, people will mess with him. Cubs will mess with them. The hyenas will come up and mess with them. Christopher Walken had this thing in the movie he was talking about. And then every now and again, the lion's got to let everyone know he's a lion. And when that happens, it's not
exactly.
good.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
but and that's what I think, that's what's a trip up here. Me being a Cajun boy from down south, I live up in Illinois now.
Right.
It was such an adjustment. I was bouncing at a place for a while and I'm snatching people up. And it was because they were talking to me crazy. And it was my fault because this is how they talk. Down south, it's a respect driven culture. If you talk like that, you have
Yeah.
to handle it. Over here, people
Yeah.
talk crazy to each other. And
Yeah.
it's just so weird to me, but it's a culture shock because when we got bored, we threw hands. Over here, they
Yeah.
just talk crazy to each other to where
They
if you talked like
busting
that, you
chops.
had to handle business. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
learning. I'm learning. I haven't gotten a fight in about a year.
There you go. I've been blessed to have grown up outside New York City and Jersey and know how that way works, and then spent more of my life in the South than I ever was up north. And I realized I was born in the wrong state and the wrong, probably the wrong time period. But, I spent my first 19 years up there, went in the Army, and I've been in the South ever since. And I'm in North Carolina, and I'm still in the South. Um, so I have spent more time in North Carolina than anywhere else I've ever lived.
I'll tell you what,
A
the
third of my,
worst part about
well, by according to your time clock, 25% of my life, but it's more like a third. But
I mean, the worst part for me living up here is, the food, man. I luckily I got my crawfish pot, and every now and then I'd go back to Louisiana, bring some shrimp or whatever, and I make gumbo and everything
yeah,
up here. And and I'm not the best cook, but I mean, at least I got a little something
right.
with me, because man, it's cardboard
There you go.
city up here. Cause I'm not even allowed to go to Cajun restaurants up here. It's ridiculous.
Oh man, I bet you. Yeah, you tear them up. They're not good. Not good at
No.
all.
So now, like we were talking about earlier, you've got a lot of different things. Now, you obviously did the Rangers, you did Naked Afraid, you did the TV shows. What other stuff to kind of let people know that, there's more to than just this beautiful
Yeah.
6'4" former Ranger that they're staring at? There's more to this book. Matter of fact, I think there is a book, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, I wrote a book called The Emergency Home Preparedness Guide that came out last October. You can get it on Amazon or go to ejsnyder.com and you can order a signed copy. ejsnyder.com gets you all of my social medias, get you some signed autographs. I charge $5 for a 4x6. With all the fans are like, what? You charging money? Yeah, so and so gave me an autograph. Whoa, what'd they do? Oh, they did 21 days. Oh, that's cute. I donate all
Hey,
the
I did
proceeds
21
to
days.
veterans. Yeah, I know. That's right. You had it coming with that Father Time slammy on me. So, but I
Well,
donate
look,
a lot of my proceeds of the autographs to the veterans and take 20%
hell
of
yeah.
everything else that I sell goes to veterans. I became a serial entrepreneur about 3 years ago. I've started up over 10 businesses. I had 2 apps on the phone. I've sold some off. I've walked away from others. Some are doing really good. Check out Freedom Pickles at freedompickles.com. The best tasting
Dude, I like
pickle and
pickles.
healthiest on the planet. And then we just starting up a sauce company, getting ready to come at you. I got to keep that one under wraps. We're finishing all of our legalities on that one. But look for that one soon. And I just love creating these businesses, so I've got a lot of those going on. I'm writing 2 more books as we speak, and I'm regularly doing podcasts like ours. This is just part 1, folks. Make sure you come back. We're going to have a part 2 for sure. But
Hell
today,
yeah.
I want to go back to doing some scripted work and maybe some voiceover stuff. Today I was actually recording for the Hip Tunes, The Big Deal, and it's a cultural, like a hip hop movie for animated cartoon characters. So they're animated 3D, and I got chosen to play this one character, General Kokomo Loach. I am the head of all the loaches. And so I did that today and recorded my whole piece. Minus, I have one little piece left. They're sending me the beat to the lyrics. I got to go back down and record my rap. Because I
Right,
booked it up
look.
as General
Hold on a
Kokomo
second.
Loach and
Look,
the
look,
rappers.
look. I don't know if you know this, EJ, but back in the day, I was a little bit of a rapper. My shit's still on iTunes and
Uh,
everything. I was actually brought to Aftermath Records when I think I was 25. They didn't know I was white yet. So I get in there, talk to Angelo Sanders and they were signing the game at the time. This is like pre everything. And they were like, look, we got the
wow.
white guy. And I mean, I'm like, yeah, they kind of right. You know,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
who's to say
yeah.
that if I didn't get that, if I got
Yeah.
money, I'd have bought a Lamborghini, wrapped it around a tree, I wouldn't be here. So maybe God put you where
Wouldn't
he
be here.
wants to put you.
Always does,
But
every step of the way.
I got a little bit with me. So if you need some tips and tricks, don't let this silver
I'm
fool you. That boy's got gold.
Yeah, I'll hit you up, man. The best thing I mean, I was my father, my stepdad was as a musician. So back in my young days, I had a pretty good voice, and I did do a lot of singing. I was in a band, lead singer. But as I went in the army and became a drill sergeant, this is the voice that God said you're going to have, an unforgettable, raspy voice that I got. And so in the army, I would sing cadence when you're running, and I was really good at putting those rhymes together,
You was
making
whipping
up
out them
cadences.
Jodies.
All those Jodies. I could run a Jody call for 5 miles and never come out of there and never say the same cadence twice. I would make them up as I went.
Weird. What's weird though, EJ, is, for civilians that have never marched, obviously you see march and it's a long march or whatever,
Yeah,
but when you have a Jody and people are stomping, they're doing little things in there, it
yeah,
changes everything. It goes from
yeah,
a 5 mile march to a 5 mile jam session.
yeah.
It's amazing. I wish more people could experience that. And I'm not saying Israel has it right, but I wish America had to where people served for a little bit to get that
Right.
experience, to understand what it's like to be a part of something bigger than you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's
I'm a big proponent of the 2-year mandatory service myself.
absolutely,
Because
me too.
it does a lot of things. Like you said, it gives you pride. It develops young people to know what they want to do with their lives when they grow up. They should go there before they
It
go to
shapes
college so
you.
they don't waste their college money. It makes them grow up. Plus, we'll have a defense, a ready-made militia when everybody does that. And so, but I'll be doing this rapping for General Kokomo. And so it's going to be I don't know when it's coming out, but it's a full-length feature animated film, and I'm really excited about it. I'm going to be working with those guys. They are Compass Media, the largest African-American animated studio in the country. They work with Tyler Perry and some of the other big ones, and they've got some good stuff coming down the pipe. They've got probably 8 films they're getting ready to do, and I told them there's 100 voices up in here, so I got plenty of more. So I'm looking forward to
Oh
doing
yeah,
more of that work. So it's a lot of fun.
that's
So
super exciting, man. I mean, especially whenever you get to do voice acting, you get to basically become another character and really
yeah.
just have fun with it. That's got to be an amazing experience.
Yeah, it was really fun being in that little sound booth today and having the headphones on and just reading the script right there. And I'm very in character. So if you go to my Instagram, you'll see I have the beret on so I could be in character with General Kokomo. And the whole place, they loved it. And I'm in there and I'm, doing my antics. But I've known, and people say, you're just like you are on TV. I've been this way my whole life. On screen, off screen, I'm the same guy all the time, and there's no difference with it. And it makes life a lot easier when you do this. So there's no act with me. I just got done teaching a survival class this weekend, so I still teach survival classes. I've got a lot of appearances in different events coming up from July all the way to the end of the year. You go to my social medias, I talk about them all the time. If you want to see me, I may be in your neighborhood, So I'm always running
Holla.
around. Yeah, I'm always doing meet and greets with folks. I have a little survival demo booth. I go show my truck off at these overlanding expos, and I love life, and I'm going to live it every day to the fullest. I don't have a bucket list. People say, "What's your bucket list?" I don't have a bucket list because bucket lists are meant to end. I don't have that
Yeah.
kind of an attitude. I'm just going to live.
And you're 100% right. For me, coming from where I came from, I was a massive alligator person. That's what I lived and breathed,
Yeah,
alligator hunting. And I'm still not even sure how the hell Naked and Afraid found me, because I had the videos and shit online. I still
right.
don't know how they found me, but the dumb shit I did was for fun. And all of
Right.
those experiences that I was doing brought me to where I'm at. So for me, it's all comes full circle. So I get to meet people like you, people like Danelle that I was on the show with,
Right.
you grow to really learn these people. And I say it again, go out and touch some grass, get out and not be one with nature. I ain't gonna sit there and say go hug a tree or no shit, but go check it out, man. I mean, the world is an amazing place, and get out there before you can't. Don't be 90
And
years
especially
old and be
our
like, I
country.
wish I would have. Bruh, there's so much here.
Yeah.
So
Our
much.
country is so beautiful. People are like, why don't you want to go anywhere in the world? I'm like, no, because there's too much of this country I haven't even seen yet. And there's a reason people want to come here, and you're right. I remember I got shocked. I got super shocked one time when I was in the Army and I was playing this video game. And one time it showed up on there how much time I had been playing and investing in this game. And it was like 8 months, 21 days, 13 hours and 28 seconds. And I was like, oh, I got a problem. What? I've wasted that portion of my life on a video game.
You lost
more
a
than
month.
a month. 8 months. I lost 8 months. 8 months. 8 months.
And we're
From
all
that
guilty
moment
of
on,
it. I mean, it's a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there.
I've never touched a video game. I've never played a video game since.
When
I saw that, I was so disappointed in myself.
Oh, my bad. But I had got actually kicked off of Xbox Live for a while, though. It was, I can't remember what year it was, but I got kicked off of Xbox Live for a long while because I didn't play no games.
Dang, shame on you. Ruined your legacy.
I know it's cheesy. I can't help myself. I say dumb shit all the time.
I love it though.
But
and I'm looking forward, Diggy. This is a great podcast you're doing. I love your format.
I appreciate it, man. It's just starting.
I love how we're rolling. This is part 1. We're gonna come back and we're gonna roll this again, maybe after the 4th of July. Yeah, can I come back?
Absolutely, we'll do it whenever you're ready.
I promise.
Absolutely,
I promise
man.
I promise I won't be 90 then. All right, I'll try to stay this young 80-year-old guy. You see.
Look, as long as whenever you cough, you don't have dust, you can roll through this bitch anytime you want.
Yeah.
All right. Before you go, is there anything you'd like to tell? Thank you so much. Before you go, is there anything you'd like to let fans know that are watching you? You got things coming up, websites that you'd like to check them out that could lead them to whatever you've got going on?
Yeah. We're redoing the ejsnyder.com website. So give us about 3 weeks and the new one should be back up. I think the old one's still going, but we're revamping that. We're rebranding it. freedompickles.com for the pickles. And like I said,
that shit.
Our pickles, right now, we're in some mom and pop shops. We're going to be in the Harris Teeters, which are up this way. We're trying to get in Publix, H-E-B in Texas, and a few other places. I'm trying to get in Sprouts across the country and Cracker Barrel. So we'll see. It's not that easy. I want
to get some of those. Hopefully, I'm going to get with you after the show, and I want to get some of those so the next time we talk, I can review these pickles. I am a pickle connoisseur. I live for the vinegar.
You're in for a treat. We want to give you those. We're going to send them right out for hosting us out here. And if you go to my YouTube channel, Survive with EJ, please subscribe. I'm getting ready to ramp that back up. But currently there's about 300 or so 1-minute tricks, hacks, and tips on my shorts. But I'm getting ready to ramp up the long videos too. All my social medias are on my website, but most of them you go to @EJ Snyder333 on whatever social media you have. That's where you're going to find me. And on Facebook, it's EJ Snyder Blue Check. Got all the war paint on. You can't mistake who I am in that one. If you try to friend me up on my personal page, probably not going to hit you up unless you're an actual friend. I had a personal other page that got hacked, and I had like 5,000 fans on there. It's like it just it wasn't right because I lost my ability to really communicate with actual people that in my life. Not saying fans don't matter, but when I build relationships with my former military brothers and sisters, my Make It Afraid tribe, my actual family, all these other I go to these charity events, I meet all these other reality show folks that I've developed relationships with. It doesn't mean that and I've got some fans that I'll tell you this last time. I used to get in some scrappers with some fans, and then I would do the courtesy they wouldn't do me. I'd message them. And then we'd scrabble back and forth on a message. And some of these people I've been talking to, and we've become friends and we've hung out like over 10 years. I have made some of the
Yeah,
bestest friends on a difference of opinion. And I didn't
that's
need
what
to
it all
convince them
boils
that
down to.
I was, yeah. And we just got to chat, and then we got to feel each other out. And a lot of them were on the opposite sides of the spectrum, but we love hanging out because we have good dialogue, intellectual conversations, and we have a respect and a love for each other that we've earned through fire hardening as men used to do around the fire.
I think it comes a long way whenever you can have a difference of opinion and not insult someone. And a lot
Yeah,
of times, you don't even realize maybe that you're insulting someone, but you are, and it turns that person off to even hearing your viewpoint. So my suggestion is don't be a douchebag. That's it. That's all you got to do. I don't care what side you're on, what your opinion is. Don't be a douchebag at it, because at the end of the day, politics is not your life. You're not in the Senate, you're not in Congress. Who gives a shit? Go out and do stuff
yeah.
that has nothing to do with politics,
It's
and you'll see that
yeah.
people are people. That's it.
It's us against them anyway.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the
So
day, it makes more sense for them to sow division between everybody, because a united people is way harder to beat than, a divided people. So, if
that's
we
right.
keep doing this shit, they're winning. So don't let them win. That's
Yes,
all I'm
sir.
gonna say. But okay, thank you so much for coming, man. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
You
Best of
got it,
luck
Diggy.
to everything you're doing, and I can't wait to get the pickles. And I'll end this with an old one I used to say, since you're an old NAA person. All right, y'all. This is Diggy from Naked and Afraid. Remember, I've been naked, I've been afraid, but I ain't never been both at the same time. Deuces, baby.